Am I the asshole for asking a client to make an appointment for their dog? I do dog grooming from home and I have a client that comes every 6 weeks. We'll call the dog Claire. I had stopped grooming during COVID and Claire's mom absolutely lost it on me asking why I can't still groom her dog and that she would even pay me $400. December 2022 I start grooming again and immediately let Claire's mom know this. She books an appointment and when the day comes she's a no call, no show. I call her, she apologizes, says her husband will leave right now with the dog and be to my house in 20 minutes. This throws off scheduling but I say okay anyways and we get the grooming done, whatever. Now, in an effort to make sure they don't miss their next appointment, I offer to text Claire's dad the day before as a reminder. He agrees, tells me to figure out when their next grooming will be and text it to his wife. I text Claire's mom that the next appointment in 6 weeks will be on this day, at 10 a.m. if that works for her. She responds 2 days later to confirm the appointment, again whatever. After the next grooming he tells me to just make the appointment myself for every 6 weeks and text him the day before to remind him. So we do it that way for about 3 months. This Saturday I woke up and realized I didn't text Claire's dad his reminder text, so at 7:30 a.m. I text Claire's dad that we have her down for grooming at 10. Sorry I forgot to remind him and to let me know if the appointment still works for that day. He replies that he will be there. When he shows up for the appointment, he says that I need to remind him the day before because Claire's mom was mad she wasn't aware of appointment and thus he was now in the doghouse. I apologized and said please the blame is on me and to let Claire's mom know that. I get the grooming done and he says the usual, make the appointment and let me know. When he left I text both him and Claire's mom and said I think we are getting confused when I booked the appointment and remind them, so to let me know in 5 weeks, so I can ensure there is a spot for the following week, when you want to schedule her again. Claire's mom says, I am not confused. I tell Claire's dad to write it down and he doesn't. Can you book her for 6 weeks and text me and I'll write it down? Here is where I'm wondering if I'm the asshole if I no longer make the appointment for Claire's parents. I don't understand why they can't put a recurring reminder in their phone for every 6 weeks or go through the calendar and mark the appointment for the next 6 months. I replied to Claire's mom, okay. Let me know what day you would like to book again, thank you. She replies, a Saturday at 10 is fine. I reply back, okay. Let me know the day and I will book the appointment for you. So, am I the asshole if I refuse to look up when the next appointment is? Text it to Claire's parents and then also text them the day before the appointment to remind them. Or, are Claire's parents asking a bit too much expecting me to book an appointment for their dog? Edit. I made a calendar event and invited both Claire's parents. We shall see how it goes from here. Can I give you advice? Set up a timed email, text that you prepare now and auto sends in 6 weeks. Saves you any trouble of having to remember later and keeps them happy. Maybe also look into a program that automatically emails reminders to clients a day before. Not the asshole but it sounds like the husband and wife may be having issues and seems like you're getting stuck in the middle of it which is awkward. Not the asshole. They are not the asshole for needing reminders or for expecting you to make and track appointments, though you may feel that could be too much to expect from you. It's okay to tell them you don't normally provide that service. But they are the asshole for losing it on you for stopping grooming during COVID, for being okay with forgetting their appointments entirely but being upset if you forget to send a reminder, and for not coordinating with each other and constantly being like, remind me, no, remind my wife, no, remind us both. I mean, yeah, you're kind of the asshole if you refuse to make an appointment that a client is pretty clearly requesting. Either charge a price that's worth it to deal with or drop them as clients, but if you're running a business you can't just not book an appointment for a client? That's kinda part of the job when you run your own business. Am I the asshole for taking the food I bought on my vacation with me? 29 female. I've been living with my roommate since April and most of the time I keep to myself. I mean, we get along but as days progress, there's a lot of stuff that I'm not okay with that's brushed under the rug. Like my roommate's kid eating all my food or my roommate using my food to cook meals for all of us, me, her kid, her husband, because she works really long hours and doesn't have time to go to the grocery store. In her defense, they are closed usually when she gets off work and she truly has no time before she goes back into work because most of her shifts are 12-16 hours. She's been shaving back my rent by $150 because she eats my food but the food I've bought that's been eaten is way more than that. And she also feeds all of them before calling me down to tell me dinner is done, and there is usually hardly anything left because these guys eat easily 4x a normal portion amount. Anyways, my mom asked me to go there for 2 weeks because she needs someone to watch her dog while she does her yearly conference meetings. She's going to be either mostly away or will be getting in super late, so she doesn't have time for her dog right this second. I told her I would. I left yesterday, and when I left, I took 90% of the food I bought with me. This included at least $300 worth of meat and easily another $200 for perishables, pasta, veg. I didn't have to take that much because realistically, I won't eat that much during the 2 weeks I'm gone, but a huge part of me just doesn't want them eating all my food when I'm gone either, because this was not the deal we made when I moved in. We were supposed to be cooking separately, but after I allowed her to use my food a couple times after she asked, she just started using it constantly without asking. Her husband can't go to the grocery store due to having a recent, 2 months ago, back surgery. I left enough for a couple days, just so they could figure it out. Anyways, I got a text this morning around 4 a.m. when she gets home from work, asking where all the food was because she was going to take food out to thaw, and I told her I took it with me to my mother's because I needed to eat, and since I bought the food, I wanted to be there when she makes it so I can eat it too, since it's mine. She kind of put on a guilt trip saying, "I really wish you would have said something to me about you taking all the food in the house so I could figure out what to feed my kid and husband while you're gone. Bummer. Guess our communication isn't as good as I thought it was. Am I the asshole? ETA. I had over $300 worth of meat because she called in a meat package for $480 and had me go get it. She said she would pay me back or take it from my rent. She didn't pay me back, as she said she didn't have the money right now, and she didn't take it from my rent either. I still paid her $750 for the month, because I can't cut back your rent this month because we are falling behind and need the money. I never would have bought a full freezer meat package for myself. Not the asshole, they're taking advantage of you. Please look for somewhere else to stay. Not the asshole, she can pay you to shop for her maybe? Not the asshole. You had a deal to pay rent and cook separately. She changed that deal without your input and just allows you to deduct what she thinks is necessary, not the actual cost of the food. You are not her personal shopper or her food bank. Yes, her hours may be long, but she needs to communicate as well. Quit buying so much food. Force her to go back to the original arrangement. Definitely not the asshole. Not the asshole, and if you really think about it, you already know you're not. Am I the asshole for telling my cleaner she can't bring her son with her after she only gave me 20 minutes notice? Hey. And #X200B. So, this is one of those situations where I can't really see much wrong with what I did. But hoping some of you guys can educate me in case I didn't approach the situation correctly. We have had, I guess, a great cleaner, the best cleaner we've ever had. She's been coming to our apartment for roughly 3 months, once a week for 5 hours. She does her work, we pay her, and she leaves. Very few discussions. She likes to listen to her music whilst working, and my girlfriend and I work from home, so we are on calls or busy in general the whole day. Last week, 20 minutes before she was meant to arrive at ours, she sent me a text message saying her sitter cancelled at the last minute, and that she would be coming with her son. She didn't ask if she could, she just said, coming with him. Our apartment isn't very large, it's open plan, with only one office space. I usually work from the living room, and my girlfriend from the office area, switching around depending on where the cleaner is currently cleaning. So, I replied to her, mentioning that we had a lot of calls that day, that there was not any way her son could come with her, on such short notice, and that I understood her situation. Her son finished school last week, not sure if primary school or just a certain grade, but she was happy about it the week prior and told that she's looking to spend more time together with her son over the summer. So I responded to her saying I am more than happy for her to take these 5 hours and spend them with her son, and that I would obviously still pay her for her time. That it's a treat for her son to celebrate finishing school. I was going to give her some extra cash for her son at the end of her shift anyways. She replied saying she didn't want our money, and that she went to another house to clean as it's otherwise a waste of her time. I tried to ask her if we are still on for the same time next week, and that from the following week I could organize the home a bit better so that if she ever needed to bring her son again, he could come with no issues. I could move my calls to another day so I could work from the bed, or find some other ways of arranging our workspace. She didn't respond for a few days, and then when I went to message her just now to confirm if she can come, she responded saying that she's sorry but she won't return to work for us. So, I'm looking for any way in which I could have come across as an asshole which would explain her not wanting to return to work for us. Some thoughts I had were: 1. She felt like a charity case because I wanted to pay her without letting her work too. She didn't like being told no to. 3. She misunderstood something I said completely. And #X200B. And #X200B. Update 1. My verdict so far is that it was a misunderstanding. That either I didn't make myself clear enough that I can make it work from the following week, or she misunderstood when I said that and decided it wasn't worth the uncertainty long term. Not the asshole. Normally I would say let a great cleaner bring her kid once in an emergency. Well, unexpected lack of babysitting. But given that you work from home, I can see how this would not work for you. Your offer to pay her anyway was reasonable and generous, not the asshole. Your home is not a daycare. It's ridiculous for someone you are paying to come work for you in your home to just assume she could bring a child. You weren't upset with her and even offered to pay her without her working, which was very generous. I have no idea why she reacted like she did, but you are not at fault. Not the asshole. You offered to give her money for no work and she declined it? I might be a little offended that you assume the mere presence of my child will render your home unable to get work done in, but any annoyance I felt would be evaporated once you offered to still pay me. And it is your home and work, so you get to make that call. She got her feelings hurt a little and can't see the forest for the trees. Not the asshole. I think it was a simple misunderstanding. Maybe her response was meant as I didn't need the money as I just worked in a different location, so I was not out of pocket? My cleaner comes in a spray bottle. Am I the asshole for leaving my friend alone in a restaurant and embarrassing her? Me, 24F, and C, 24F, have been co-workers for a couple years. Over time we grew to become friends and would regularly go out to eat together either during our lunch breaks. We have done this many times before and have never had any issues prior to this day. On this day, we decided to try a new place for lunch. After a quick Google search we find a nice Mexican food spot that looks good, so we agree to eat there. Lunchtime rolls around and we make our way to the restaurant, get seated, etc. We usually get something quick when we go out during lunch break, so we decide on some nachos to share. We order, the nachos come around, they're great, all is well. As we are starting to polish off plate, C suddenly pulls out her phone to take a photo of the nachos. I thought that was weird since they were already halfway eaten, but then she points to something on the plate. She is making a disgusted face at this point, so I follow the direction of her finger and notice a bay leaf that was buried under some chips. C is visibly grossed out, thinking that this was a leaf from outside. I almost wanted to laugh, but I didn't, because in all honesty, I had no idea what a bay leaf was or what it was used for in cooking until about a year or so prior. But before I could even try to explain, C was calling over our server. I am embarrassed at this point because I couldn't stop her in time to explain what it was before she was calling over an employee, but I thought, oh well, the server will just explain what it is and we will all move on. This did not happen. After being explained to what she was looking at and what a bay leaf was, she continued to insist this was a leaf from outside and that she would like the nachos to be comped. Too stunned to interrupt, I continued to listen to her and the poor server go back and forth until she eventually decided to get a manager. When the server walked away, I tried to explain to C that she was wrong, and she even began to try to argue with me. She only realized she had made a mistake when I literally pulled my phone out and Googled bay leaf to show her. She seemed to be genuinely embarrassed and apologetic to me, at least. Knowing her mistake, I assumed she would apologize to our server as well and tell them we would be happily paying for our bill, but I was shocked when the manager came over to rectify the situation and she stuck to her guns. I was mortified. Without saying a word, I just excused myself to the restroom. I went and found our server and paid our bill plus a tip for her, apologized, and left out the door back to work without telling C. When C got back to work, she confronted me about ditching her in the restaurant. I asked why she didn't apologize and pay for what we ordered after realizing she was wrong, and she said she was embarrassed and it was easier to just follow through instead of admitting her mistake, but that I made her look like an ass by leaving her there alone and not backing her up as her friend. So, am I the asshole? But that I made her look like an ass by leaving her there alone and not backing her up as her friend. Oh, she was doing a fine job of making herself look like an ass on her own. Not the asshole. Your friends is definitely weird for being rude to waitstaff and still demanding a refund after she found out she was wrong. She could have just laughed it off and apologized. It seems like she was too embarrassed, as she should be, to admit her mistake, so being ditched probably humiliated her even more. You're not the asshole, but in that moment showed immaturity in your lack of ability to communicate. I don't blame you though, I would have been so embarrassed by her too. I probably would have just walked back with her in awkward silence. You ran away from an embarrassing asshole, haven't we all? Be careful, if she makes a mistake at the workplace, she will pull this kind of stunt again. Not the asshole. Not the asshole, she just looks like what she is. Woman shrugging, medium light skin tone. Not the asshole, I love finding a bay leaf, that's how you know it's freshly made.